to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember, when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
Most people have a price, and they have a price because of human emotions named fear and greed. First, the fear of being without money motivates us to work hard, and then once we get that paycheck, greed or desire starts us thinking about all the wonderful things money can buy. The pattern is then set. People's lives are forever controlled by two emotions, fear and greed. Offer them more money and they will continue to the cycle by increasing their spending. This is what we call the rat race. What up, Pace?
What up?
Welcome.
Good to see you, brother.
Sorry, I had to put the rhino in there until you got here. There we go. Yeah, you know what I wanted to talk about just right off the bat, Pace? The difference between rich and wealthy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do know the difference. Yeah.
Difference between rich and wealthy. I remember losing it all, and I just had to do something to earn income, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I sold a property. I made like $2,100, and I was like, oh, yes, I can breathe. Okay, now I'm going. Now I've got another deal at 5,000, another deal at 7,000, another deal building. I had no intention at that time of buying any assets, of buying real estate, of building wealth, of any of that thing, because I was just in survival mode. I wanted to get rich and then get wealthy. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%.
So let's talk about that, because you and I went through a similar experience where we were doing amazing things, and then all of a sudden we had to switch back to getting rich mode over getting wealthy mode.
Yeah, actually, here's a good example. Like Kelly, I've got a girl here that I gave her
Kelly?
I gave her a whole ride along the other day. I took her down to an asset that I just bought on Monday. It's a 160 unit Tucson deal, seller finance, $20 million purchase on a great deal. And as I drive down there, you have to make a determination of like the person that I'm talking to, what do they actually need?
Mm-hmm.
Because what I'm currently working on and what she's interfaced with are polar opposite situations. I'm trying to become more wealthy, keep my wealth, store my wealth.
Yep.
And in her world, the thought process is, I just want to spend more time with my son and be able to work from home.
Yep.
And so it's like that first step. I think more people are in that first area of like, I need to get rich.
Yep.
So that I can change my mindset and change my world. But I can't change my world if I'm worrying about what my bills are in 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get a lot of people like, oh, you're going to be billion. Most of the people that are just trying to make next month's payroll or next month's, bills paid aren't thinking about how can I be worth $20 million.
No. But there's some dream there, right? You read a good book, you see a good post, you listen to a great podcast, you get inspired by these things, you envision it. That's all goals are, right? It's just a vision for what you have in the future. And then what? And then how do you work 9 to 5? You have 3 kids. You've got bills to pay. You've got a bad hip. You've got, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all these other life's responsibilities are in the way. How do we go and get to the point where we're rich so that we can get wealthy?
I'm going to bring up some politics here.
Yep.
What's up, Elena Tang, LT, and Carolyn Briley? Good to see you guys.
See you. Yeah.
I was wearing my mindset shirt the other day. Just FYI, I wore it yesterday. So politically,
Mhm.
I'm going to bring up a guy named Ben Shapiro.
Yep.
Just got interviewed by Graham Stephan. It's one of the greatest interviews I've watched in a long time. And the things that I pulled from it, Graham Stephan asked Ben Shapiro, like, tell us about the start. How did you build this big media enterprise? And Ben Shapiro went on to talk about how he was doing 5 or 6 things all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, it's a great diversification strategy of doing 5 or 6 things simultaneously, have 4 or 5 different jobs, 4 or 5 different sources of income, paying the bills. And then when you find the one thing that's going to hit, that's where you double down. I was like, ooh, that's interesting, because a lot of people go, I have shiny object syndrome and I feel lost. It's like, no, you're not lost. You're just figuring out what you are a good fit for, or vice versa, what is a good fit for you. And then what I also realized is that I'd say the large majority of our population is like, well, I have my job
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I work.
Yep.
My 9 to 5, that's when I work. But then when I come home, that's when I don't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so in order for me to do this wholesaling thing or this fixing and flipping thing or put rentals together, I need to quit my work schedule
Mm-hmm.
so I can fill that with new work schedule.
Right.
And I'm like, wrong. That is not how this works. And I don't know a single wealthy person. No. And when I say wealthy, guys, when you look up wealth starts at $20 million of net worth. That is wealth. You cannot say you're wealthy if you have $19.9 million in net worth. You are wealthy at $20 million. Okay. There's actual definitions.
That's the starting line.
That's the starting line is 20 million.
Yeah.
So I've never met somebody wealthy that started out by going, well, you know what? I want to do this thing. So I'm going to quit everything I'm doing and just focus on that one thing until I die. It's like, no, they're probably working a graveyard shift and working wholesale, or working 9 to 5. And then they're wholesaling 3-4 hours a day. Then they're on Saturdays doing power hours. Right. Then they're on Sundays networking with people and driving around and doing whatever. And they're bringing their family along if they've got the kids. They're bringing their wife along if they've got the wife, and they're doing the work all the time. I'm sorry, but this doesn't feel great to hear this. But the truth is, wealthy people for years and years and years of their life put in 14-hour days for years and years consecutively. Not 2 weeks and said, damn, I did a good job. It's like 2 years was the warm up of 14-hour days. And that's it. That's all there is to it. And you look at actually Carly Grunman is a really good example of this. Carly Grunman works full-time for my team.
Yeah.
Okay. And she's buying RVs.
Carly's on here now.
Yeah, there she goes. She says, I don't know the last day I had a day off between being a mom, a W-2 employee, and building out 3 of my own businesses.
Yeah.
So there you go. There is a person that will be wealthy in the future. Somebody that's focusing on how can I become rich and learn these new strategies so that I can compound that into wealth. She's doing it all. And I get a lot of people that come to me and say, how do I do it? I just quit my job so I could focus on this full time. Like, you what? You quit your job? Oh my gosh, you're stressing me out. Ingrid Hernandez, you know Ingrid. Of
course.
She goes, Paige, should I quit my job? Oh, no, please do not quit your job.
Right.
If you can't manage your job and your side business, you will not be able to be a full-time entrepreneur.
Replace your income.
Replace your income.
Yeah.
Now, is there...
Because it really tightens your timeline if you just burn all the boats, as they say. You know what I mean? If you give up all other income, unless you have significant savings, which some people do. Some people are just at the, they're like, you know what? My military contract's up. I've saved a ton of money. I don't want to get into some other job that's going to, stifle my momentum. I'm ready to go. What do you think of that?
I think the biggest problem is that human beings are lazy pieces of whatever. I'm one of those as well. And I've just strategically learned how to keep myself with my back up against the wall.
What do you mean you're one of them as well?
Well, because
Bro, you get up at like 1:45 a.m.
But I know how
start doing 50 push-ups, run around all of Mesa, Arizona. By the time it's 3:30, you're taking Zoom meetings with like 15 people all over the world.
Yeah.
And then go. And then you're on a plane by 7:30.
That is very true. But I also have learned how to manipulate my own brain.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
I've learned how to put my back up against the wall in all aspects of my life.
Yeah.
And so I know.
Is that a chip on the shoulder thing?
Maybe.
Is it an insecurity thing?
No, it just means that if I put $1 million in my bank account and it's sitting there, I just don't work.
Right.
So people that have,
You got to get it out of your account.
Mine has to be out of my account. I usually have like my personal account. If it has money in it, there's something weird in my brain that goes, oh, you can relax.
Yeah.
And so
Well, of course.
I just learned that about myself in my 20s when I was making a ton of money in construction. I'm like, oh, great. We can go do this and we can go do that and we can go this. But I was staying in the rich phase.
Yeah.
And then when I started meeting wealthy people, I'm like, oh, there's something different here.
The wealthy people that we talk to don't take any money.
No.
Like on a monthly basis.
Mm-mm.
A lot of them.
Right.
They're just, whoop, it's just all into more wealth building.
Right.
It's wild.
It could be a chip on my shoulder. You look at a lot of the people that come from immigrant families or people that come into our country and they come from like the work ethic background. I knew nothing but work ethic. You knew nothing but work ethic. It is probably my number one skill is just that I learned how to love hard work and crave it. But I also realized that when you put $100,000 in my bank account, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Right. You've had acquisition guys the same way.
Complacency always sneaks in.
Yes.
Always sneaks in.
So if I'm deploying into assets or I'm deploying into new businesses and there's always something nipping at my heels, then I always have to keep on my toes.
Right.
And if I keep on my toes, I learn new things. I grow. I feel anxiety all the time. The longer I said this in our subto Facebook group. I don't know if you guys saw my post. I did the announcements yesterday. I said, if you don't learn how to live inside of anxiety and being overwhelmed, then you are not going to be a good entrepreneur.
It's tough.
Well, being overwhelmed is a comfort blanket at this point.
Sure.
When I'm not overwhelmed, I'm like, wait, there's something wrong. Something's going wrong. I don't know what's going on. So the people that
But everybody wants to do 4-hour work week pace.
That's not a thing.
Oh, come on. Sitting on the beach, having a nice cocktail, shredded body, nice tan, great ideas still that you can instantly implement if you want to, because, life's just rubbing a lamp and a genie comes out, right? No.
I don't know.
Not a single person.
Here's the people I do respect and I know is that the guys like you have a great team.
Yep.
You generate a lot of money, millions of dollars a year.
Yep.
You have a really great work-life balance, but it wasn't always like that.
No.
You had to earn that.
Yep.
And then you can pick and choose by hiring people to take over those responsibilities.
I ruined relationships because of that.
Yeah, me too.
For sure.
You mean by working too hard?
Divorces, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Engagements, all sorts of different things. I mean, it is a difficult life to be an entrepreneur for sure, especially when you're in hustle season, especially when you're like laser focused. It's almost like you have to manipulate your emotions because emotions are really our biggest expense. You know what I mean? It's not all this other nonsense. It's our emotions that we have on a daily basis, being able to really keep them in check and still have the vision that we have for what we want to do and get to the point where we're rich so that we can go and invest in stuff till we're wealthy. It's like every time you think you get somewhere, it's another layer.
I mean, even look at my in-laws or even my parents, right? Think about all of our parents. I don't know if your parents are retired. Your parents are
just
retired.
now. Well, they work with me.
That's right. They work with you. Okay. But think about the people that are retired. Let's think about the parents that retired 5 years ago that now are on a fixed income that just went through COVID. What happened to that fixed income?
Yeah.
And no longer computes.
No. How about the fact that fixed income just got decreased by 17% inflation?
Right. And
I mean, that's locked in.
Yes. Everything got way more expensive. And it's
17%.
It's not that like, oh, hey, just so you know, retirees, that's only going to happen for these couple of years, but don't worry, for the next 20 years while you're alive, no more inflation.
Yeah. No.
Dude, by the time they're 10 more years into their retirement, they will have to go back to work. And so the people that are, I'm rich and I'm going to retire, those are the people that are going to struggle because you have that mindset of I'm going to quit once I get this number. And so wealthy is really, in my opinion, becoming wealthy is the only way.
Yeah.
Because when I take a vacation or a month off or I go live in Montana or whatever it is that I'm doing, I want to be able to not ever worry about, oh, what is going on in the economy? I don't care. I have full control over my finances. And I'm crazy. I think that number is at 100 million minimum. Crazy to even think about, because I think when I was 25, 30, even when I was 30, I was like, yeah, you could retire pretty comfortably on $5 million. Because you go, okay, $5 million. If I give it to a hard money lender lends it out at 14%, but he pays me 10%. That's $500,000 a year on $5 million. Okay. But $500,000 a year
Have you,
Yeah.
you right?
Yes.
There's a part in here where you write down,
Yeah.
I'm going to have X amount and X amount. And I still have it from when I
What'd
was
you write
writing it
down?
in college, 10 million.
10 million.
10 million. And I was set, bro.
Wow.
10 million,
Think about the number that 10 million would get to you, truly passive.
Right.
Because I do believe that there is such thing as passive income. Here's where passive income comes in. You go and invest as an LP or a limited partner in somebody else's multifamily deal, you can have real passive income.
Yep.
Or you can go and give it to like Cap Fund One. Cap Fund One is a hard money lender. They'll take your money at 10%, and then they'll charge it at 14% plus 2 points, and they make their money on your money, but they pay you 10%. So at 10 million, okay, $10 million,
Yep.
you are taking home 80 grand a month
minus
taxes.
Yes.
So now you're at the 40% tax bracket. You're now going to be taking home about $47,000 a month.
Right.
And that seems like a lot of money.
Seems like a ton.
But my travel expenses are 40 grand a month. Just so you guys know, I spend 40 grand a month on travel. So I'm not living the life I live right now on a $10 million retirement.
Right.
But at some point in your life, you thought 10 million was the number.
Oh my gosh. That was just like,
everything.
when you're 22, you're like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. But now I feel like 22-year-olds are like, I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm like, all right, go do your thing. I feel like it's more common language now.
Billionaire, yeah. I think so, yeah. I think there's so many people that are becoming billionaires. In the United States, there's only 2,600 billionaires, but I think in 10 years it'll be something like 50,000.
Oh, sure.
So obviously inflation's all that kind of stuff, plus the ease of making money and whatever. But it's interesting to think what people thought was wealthy. And when you have passive income coming in, you got $80,000 minus taxes, minus whatever. How are you going to take care of your parents and yourself if you're like, I'm kicking it on the beach? People go, okay, well now I'm going to move to Puerto Rico. Guys, nobody wants to live in Puerto Rico. Okay. Don't tell me that ever. Nobody wants to live there. Okay?
Jerry does for 3 out of the 5 years.
For tax reasons, yeah. But like, you guys know that there's more iguanas in Puerto Rico than there are human beings.
Oh my gosh.
We ain't living there. Okay. We ain't living there unless I'm like Crocodile Dundee and I got like an iguana little. If I was shirtless with an iguana vest,
that'd be cool.
Maybe.
You need to grow out your hair.
I would need it. I need to think that's a knife.
I'll show you a knife.
I'll show you a knife.
There's a knife.
So I think people have to, but you can't, here's the thing, what you're saying at the very beginning, you can't make a wealth goal unless you achieve your rich goals.
100%. That's the mistake I see a lot of people slip into. That's really the quicksand of this whole thing, is because you go, oh, that's going to be easy. But then you got to do the whole rich part first. And I think the really tough part is, especially if you have other responsibilities with a job or school or just kids or just in general, you have to actually work when you're working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's one of the biggest things that I learned, was as long as I'm generating new opportunities, I'm in the sweet spot. You know what I mean? If I'm out there hunting for the opportunities, that's when I'm good. When I'm there playing around on my computer, doing silly stuff, organizing stuff, nobody's going to pay me for that.
No.
Nobody's going to pay me for that. And there's probably somebody that you could pay $5 an hour that's 10 times better than me that playing around in the computer.
Right.
We get paid to find opportunities. We get paid to have conversations and solve the problems of people that have problems with their properties. That's what we get paid to do. Conversations and offers. So when you're looking at the rest of the year, the rest of your week, whatever, if you're looking at, okay, I got to find the nooks and crannies in my schedule to be able to commit to, earning some income from real estate, it's all about hunting.
It is about hunting. And here's the big part that I see very frequently is I feel that the married couples are out of alignment. Okay. My audience, your vibe attracts your tribe. So I'm a married man with children. So very, very much I attract a married couple with children, right? People resonate with me that are that demographic. All races, all parts of the country, all everything else, all sorts of backgrounds, but family-oriented people is the number one thing that gravitates to me, which is why Subto feels very much like a family, because everybody's family-oriented.
Right.
Now, with that, I see the biggest struggle is I see the alpha, the person that goes out to make the money, their number one question is, well, how do I get my my support system, my wife or my husband, depending on the situation,
to do it too,
to either A, do it too, which they're not going to.
No.
Very rarely do you get both.
Yep.
Or B, how do I get them to support me?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wait, hold on. So you married somebody that doesn't support you? Okay, that's a tough one.
There could be conditions to it, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You married somebody who doesn't support you. Okay, so here's what you have to do. In my experience, watching people do this, you have to unapologetically go after your goals without any care of their opinion of what you're doing, because what you're doing is going to benefit the overall goal of the family. And until they fall in line, yes, that sounds totalitarian. It is meant to sound bad. Fall in line.
Get them.
Or leave.
Yeah.
What the hell are you shooting for? Are you shooting for the person that's like, I'd like to retire on $5,000 a month and be done working? Is that the reason why you were put on this planet, is to be done working and done learning and done exercising your ability to be creative and find opportunities? Is that why you're retiring? The only retirement you should have is, I'm retiring from the old mindset of I should have a job and work for somebody else. That is retirement. Now you get to work on new opportunities for the rest of your life, and you get to be in hunt zone or hunt mode for the rest of your life. You guys, a lot of people struggle because they're like, well, I got off my job and now my significant other wants me to sit on a couch and just watch shows with them. Holy crap. I watch shows with my wife every night, but it's like as we're falling asleep. We get about 45 minutes to an hour. I watch a lot of shows, but I'm not watching it during productive hours, which is 5 o'clock to, let's say, 9 o'clock at night. That's productive time. Even when kids are around, I'm doing stuff with my daughters. My daughters are there. I'm making phone calls. I'm raising money. All the things that I'm doing it in the midst of my family environment.
Mm-hmm.
Other people use their family as an excuse. Do you get people that say that stuff to you? Like, how do I get my significant other one to just do the business with me?
Yeah. Or just, what's the conversation? How can I explain that, I don't want to just live an average life. I don't want to just work a 9 to 5 all the time. And I think a lot of people understand it until it disrupts the normal flow of how everything's going. And I completely understand. I mean, especially if you have kids, or if you've got kind of a routine that you've got, and then all of a sudden you're throwing in, a totally different wrench into that routine. There takes some adjustment period for sure. But I think if you're there and you have conviction and a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of good energy for the business that you're growing, I think that does most of that work. It's when you're like bitching about it, or when you're like all sad that you lost a deal or something, or you're just disappointed that you're not getting enough results because you're not putting in the time. That's when things get goofy with relationships, in my experience. But if you're there and you're taking action, you're growing and you're doing things, I think most of the time that's supported.
Yeah. Tammy says to me, she says, how does Pace know my husband so well? Well, here's the thing. I'm so grateful. I get to travel around the country. Like I said, I spend about $40,000 a month on travel, and I get to meet a lot of people and hear a lot of stories. Imagine compounding just one meetup. We had a meetup the other day. 380 people showed up to Richmond, Virginia. I was able to meet every single person, shake every single person. Great area.
Yep.
Amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there for 3 or 4 hours. I got to talk to a lot of people. I get to hear some stories.
Mm-hmm.
And so when somebody like Tammy says, how does Pace know my husband so well? I probably didn't understand this 10 years ago. But after talking to literally 15,000+ people, I hear the story all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Your loved ones will not believe in you. Your mom and dad will not believe in you. Let me give you Munif Saza. Do you guys know the story of Munif Saza? So Munif Saza, Indian descent, joins Subto, ends up quitting his job. Now he's full-time, marries Love Francis, who's his transaction coordinator. They're like Beyonce and Jay-Z of the real estate world.
Totally.
They have a baby.
They sent me a picture Friday for my birthday.
Amazing. Their baby's name is Subto. Just kidding. It's not.
Subto Saza.
Subto Zaza. I met his mom and dad in Richmond, Virginia the other day. Richmond, Virginia. His mom came up to me. She says, I want to be honest with you. I thought you were a scam. I thought you were a scam, and you were taking my boy from me, and you were leading him down the wrong path. And now I couldn't be more surprised and proud of him. He's created this whole world. I didn't even realize he had these powers. I didn't realize he could move and inspire thousands of people inside the subto community. She's like, I wanted to personally come and see you and thank you today. And I said, it's my job to believe in people before they believe in themselves. And it's my job to believe in them far more before their family believes in them.
Mm-hmm.
And your family will be the last people to believe in you. So you guys should write that down. Your family will be the last people to believe in you. The second last person to believe in you is your significant other who you've been with. Let's say you've been in marriage for 20 years. You guys have been stuck in the job mentality for 20 plus years. That's going to be a really hard person to convince to believe in you.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to convince them is to go provide some results. Go get some checks. Go do some things in your after hours. Let them know you're having fun. You're doing this as a hobby. You don't go around telling people, I'm going to do this as a full-time business and I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do all this stuff. All you're doing is you're giving them ammunition to not believe in you or believe in your mission. Just say, I'm so excited about this, learn this new thing. I'm going to take a year, no pressure on myself. I'm just going to go learn. I'm going to go to meetups. I'm going to do the thing. Take all the pressure and all the ammunition out of their pocket. Mm-hmm. And then come home one day with a check, $5,000, $1,200, $22,000, $50,000, whatever it is. What was your first assignment fee check? Do you remember, Carolyn? $14,000. Now you guys were a team by this point, which was great. But other people, it's like you go and bring home a $14,000 check and you go, look what my hobby did for me. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to put a little bit more time into this. Yeah. That is the way you get your loved one on board, is show them results, not talk about your goals to them. And that's sad because everybody's like, you're supposed to talk to your significant other about your goals. No, you're not. If that means that they're going to beat you up about it and give you self-doubt and they're going to criticize you, no, just tell them, I got a hobby. I'm going to go hang out with these friends, do this real estate meetup stuff. Bring them a check before you come to them and start telling them how you're going to move heaven and earth, change your whole lifestyle around. People aren't used to that kind of change that quickly. No. It's like, be careful.
It's like you go home and you're like, I'm going to be a pirate now. You're like, what? Yeah, I'm going to be a pirate. I'm going to carry around a sword and I'm going to get a parrot and I'm going to wear an eye patch and this is who I am now. Okay. Just accept that I'm a pirate.
Yes.
And they're like, what?
Exactly.
You've never been a pirate in your whole entire life, but you go out to some like pirate hangouts, and you're hanging out with your pirate friends. And all of a sudden it starts going in and you start getting a little bit more and more and more buy-in. I'm just telling you, the support is in the communities that you build. The support's in with the people that understand what your goals and your dreams are. And if you're having those conversations with a significant other, if you're having it with your parents, if you're having it with whoever, there is so many amazing people in the comment section right now. That's the whole reason we do this every Monday, is to bring everybody together so that people can really connect and have that support that you're looking for, and then bring home those checks. And that's like instantaneous. It's amazing what happens when you're successful.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Even the more successful I become, I'll be honest with you, I hit a point probably about a year ago where people just assume I'm really smart. Do you ever get that?
Yeah.
Where you're like, wow, people, you give me way too much credit. I'm still learning and growing up myself, but because I have had success after success after success, people assume that I'm just the smartest person on the planet. Guys, I'm just trying to grow up too.
Yep.
I'm just a Toys R Us kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So many toys at Toys R Us that we can play with.
Pirate stuff too.
Pirate stuff too.
They're like, what is he talking about?
One thing I would just want to shout out to the comments before we get a little bit of Q&A. We got an hour left to go, guys. I had this amazing moment last night with my daughter, by the way. So
which one?
Corbin.
Yep.
She's about to turn 5 this month. And so I saw this. Yeah. Crazy. Remember when my wife came into your office when she was pregnant?
Yep.
5 years ago, I was asking Brent Daniels, I was like, do you think that all these real estate deals that we're doing, you think they're going to run out? And Brent's like,
I think you'll be all right.
I think you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Those were the questions I was asking 5 years ago. So just FYI, straight up. Now I'm hanging out with Corbin, all the time. We go on dates frequently. I'll take her, and I basically want to spoil her so much that any man that ever dates my daughter is required to take her on a date every day. So I take her on a date, I'd say 6 out of 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And when I don't take her on a date, it's like, wait, Dad, what did I do something wrong? I'm like, no, So, you know, it could be CVS. We get her a lollipop. It could be, you know, we'll drive around. We'll go get she calls it a McFlurry, which is a Oreo McFlurry from McDonald's.
Nice.
Okay. Whatever it is, it could be I'm spending $4 and we just go on a little date, right? So last night I tell my daughter, tonight will be the last night that I buy you anything with my money. It's now time for you to start earning your own money. She was like, wait, what? She starts like her lips started quivering. Tear came out. You know, she's good.
Intense.
She's
intense. Real good at it.
She's really good at it. So I go, don't worry. Here's what I'm going to buy you tonight. I'm going to buy you a wallet or a purse. And I'm going to give you $10 for the last month of you being good. And she has like a bunch of things around the house she's supposed to do, but she doesn't do them.
Right.
She doesn't do them.
Yeah.
We have to constantly remind her. It's a whole thing. So, we go to Walmart. She has $10. I pull out cash out of the ATM. She watches me do it. And I tell my daughter, hey, Corbin, where did this money come from? She goes, it came from the bank. I go, no, it came from your dad working his guts out to earn that money. I put it in the bank and now I'm going to pull it out. But why are you getting it?
Yeah.
And she goes, because I worked. I go, no, because your dad gave you an opportunity to work. So you need to say thank you to the fact that I give you an opportunity, because not everybody has the opportunity. She's like, oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Yes, I see the money came from you. Great. I give her $10. We go to Walmart. We're walking up and down the toy aisle, and she's looking at like 99% of everything is $29, $19.
Oh, yeah.
You know, whatever.
Yes.
We find this little Naruto. Naruto's a character, like an anime character wallet, $4. I buy that out of my pocket. That gives her $10. We find this little $7 twin doll thing that's $7 that she can buy. And she sees the 7. She goes, oh my gosh, I can afford that. So we go to the cashier. By this point, she's bundled up her money so tightly because she's so excited about having her own money at this point that the dollar thing wouldn't even take her $10. So I had to like ask the Walmart person, can you give me a crispy $10? They're like, do you not have an ATM, sir? I was like, I'm trying to teach my daughter a lesson, bro. So they switch me out. They give me a $10 bill. I then go to put the $10 in the machine and she loses her mind. No, that's my $10. I'm going to pay for it. So she takes the $10. She puts it in. She gets $2 and like some change back. Yeah. And I've never seen her more excited. She puts the $2 back in her wallet and we start walking out of the store. And I go, did you forget something? She goes, no. I go, what about the $7 toy that we just bought?
Yeah.
She forgot the toy. She was so excited about the lesson about money and affordability and all that kind of stuff. So she comes home we come home, we climb into bed last night, getting home from Walmart. My wife had already put Monday to sleep. And so my wife was basically just waiting for us upstairs. She walks upstairs and she shows my wife her wallet and she says, Mom, I earned my own money and I did and she said some things and my wife starts bawling. She's like, oh my gosh, my daughter's growing up so much, blah, 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 blah. So this morning, I'm downstairs in the kitchen and I'm, getting off a phone call. Oh, hey, there's my baby right there. Hey, what do you got in your pocket? Oh my gosh. This is, here, come here. Hey, put your hands up.
Put them up. There it
she
is.
Actually, guys, this is so funny. I had no idea my wife was going to be here. Hi, baby. What did you love your wallet last night? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this morning I'm in the kitchen. She comes down. Do you remember what you asked me when I walked into the kitchen this morning? You don't remember? She walked in the kitchen, and in 5 years of knowing this human being, obviously she's only been speaking for 3. In 5 years of knowing this human being, she's never once asked me, what can I do to help you, Dad? So this morning she comes down and she goes, what can I do to help you? And I go, isn't that interesting how the alignment of how she's being rewarded also kind of gets her in line with, like, her incentives show her what she should be working on.
Yeah.
And look at her now. She's got her own money. She's proud of her own money. Are you proud of your own money? Is Mom proud of you?
Yep.
Wow, you're so talkative. Here, go sit by Mom. Usually she's so talkative. So I just was sitting here listening to how quickly that made her grow up.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing things for my kids, I'm like, you want a toy? The question is, how are you going to earn it? Not, hey, where, let's get you. No, you do good. I'll buy you a toy. It's like, no, I'm going to incentivize her to do a thing to have her have her help understand her own money management. Are you going to take this Rhino?
There you go.
Okay. Take that Rhino over by your sister. So the point of the story is probably 50 different points, but a couple of things are, how are you incentivized? How are you incentivized is a really important thing. So for me, I trick myself into alignment with myself. How do I keep myself honest? How do I keep myself on task? How do I keep myself doing the work? And more importantly, I think the lesson is, your children, this is so weird. I know this is such common sense. I'm just having a really stupid moment. But your kids actually learn stuff from you.
Yep.
Isn't that the weirdest thing, Carolyn and LT and Elena? You're like, wow, I'm actually a parent. And somebody's learning how to live their life based on my actions. That is scary. So here's the question I have for me and for everybody in the audience. Whether you have kids, you don't have kids. Do you think your kids learn more from you from the spoken word or from the unspoken things? I would say it's the unspoken things. I think that they see how hard you work. I see that when you come home from work and you watch TV instead of working on your side hustle or integrate your family into what you're doing, why are you not taking your kids around driving for dollars? I take my kids to houses all the time. We talk about properties. My kids learn these things. Work is not something that my kids are like, oh, wow, you have to work. My kids are like, what are we doing for work today?
Bo goes, I am so glad you're Mr. TTP. He was running around at AJ's, and we were at it's like a
in
little
Eagle, Idaho.
It's
AJ Osborne.
No. AJ's the grocery store.
Oh, AJ's, okay.
And just by my house, Central and Camelback. And there's a bunch of kids running around, and some kids are like, "Aren't you TTP's son?" And then they started playing. He's like, "I can't believe it. It's because you're YouTube famous." And he's like, I want to do YouTube. I want to do these things. You know what I mean? And it's like some of that. And then the other side of it's like, okay, I grew up doing chores. I get that. So he has a bunch of chores. And then the new one that's really snuck around the last 15 years is the more books you read, the more you pay your kids. What do you think of that?
The more books you read, the more you pay your kids.
The more books they read.
Oh, the more books they read, the more
instead of going, hey, you mow the lawn, you pick up the dog poop, you clean the windows
by reading books.
You read a book, you tell me about that book, what you got out of it, and then I'll give you your
you pay them. Yeah. That's genius.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, does that make them want to read more or less? I don't know.
It makes look at like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro talks about how they have 2-3 hours a day in reading time.
Mm-hmm.
And his kids articulate 40, 50-year-old people, and they're 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, that's the truth.
Books always around. Always around.
Thanks, Laura, my wife, who always reads to the kids. She does a way better job than that than myself. But that's a really great idea. I love that. And there's tons of comments, by the way. I grew up playing competitive soccer, traveled around the world, and had bingo to raise money for all of our soccer trips. These little things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is what's funny is like when I was doing the Scholastic book things and you're raising money and selling books, I had no idea what that was actually teaching me was sales and talking to people.
Right.
Get out there
the
and
little
do
candy
something.
Bars?
Yes.
I never did it. I was always like, Dad, can you sell these at your work?
Oh, really?
I did. I know.
Arbitrage.
That's why I had to like learn it later in life. I had to learn sales skills. I was like, I need to throw myself into the deep end. I'm going to go door knock. It's not the most efficient. It's super hot outside, but it cost me nothing. And I just had to get in front of people and have conversations with them about real estate. And that was the shortest path to be able to do that instantly. So I just started doing that over and over and over and over. And then, skip tracing came around and that made it a lot easier. And I talked to a lot of people that way and really built up a lot of skills that way. But I'd never done sales before. I had never had a job before. I'd never done retail before. I'd never done auto. I hadn't done any of those things. So people that are in the audience listening to this and you have some experience and you already have some skills, just turn it towards real estate. Holy cow, you're going to be unbelievable. And you're going to find really good opportunities, especially if you understand personality types, especially if you understand what you can do with your tone of voice and with asking questions and by really understanding what's going on with somebody and really staying focused and present. You could be powerful. You can make as much as you want in this business.
Yeah. I would say the number one thing that I learned that I hated and my parents forced me to do, and I'll jump into the first question of the day.
Yep.
Is being a scout.
Yeah.
I hated it because there's no cute girls there. I love church because Raquel Scout wearing that dress.
Well, you did scouts like in junior high and high school?
I did scouts all the way through Cub Scouts, all the way through 16 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
I did it from 10 to 12.
Oh, really? Yeah. So
I'm out.
You did Cub Scouts.
Yeah.
So I
did Boy Scouts. I mean, I did the whole thing.
So I went through Weeblos, all the things, right? The basics. And then you go into Boy Scouts. My parents told me I couldn't get my driver's license until I had my Eagle Scout. One of the greatest things ever. Now, by the time they got to
is that a Latter-day Saints thing?
It's a Latter-day Saint thing. Yeah.
Right?
Not anymore.
No?
No, the Boy Scout thing has been disbanded because there was some issues.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, okay. So it's been disbanded.
Got it.
However, they do something different now. It's not Boy Scouts, but for me, the greatest thing ever was, are you earning merit badges?
Yeah.
Everything was always about a merit badge, always a merit badge. What's the next merit badge you're learning? And it trained me to constantly move on to the next skill.
Yeah.
Obtain a skill, move on, obtain the next skill, move on, obtain the next skill, which is, I watched all three of you in the last couple of years since I've known you, LT longer than anybody else. You could easily say, Elena, you've probably acquired 30 or 40 merit badges in real estate. You might not think so because you've done it over 2 years, but you've acquired management skills. You've acquired the understanding of creative finance. You've acquired the ability to, oh, there we go. Somebody's got a fever today, by the way, or she's coming off a fever. So you've acquired these merit badges. So I get addicted to merit badges. And one of the merit badges that, somebody needs to learn when jumping into real estate is how to comp a property.
Sure.
And so what this question is, Rami says, I'm 16. Congratulations.
I think those are the merit badges.
Those are all merit badges. Every one of those is a merit badge, 100%. Hey guys, I'm 16. I started wholesaling with an experienced team. I was supposed to start building referrals with agents 1 week ago, but I'm struggling to calculate the comp and price on the call. Thanks. Okay. What you're asking is for an easy button, and that easy button does not exist. Now, the easy button is you could go to your experienced people on your team and go, hey, comp this for me real fast. Or you can take your after hours and go to Straight Outta Comping with Jamil and watch how he comps and spend a month learning that and doing repetition, comping property after property after property after property after property after property. And comparing it to, actually a really great idea is if you comp a property off a wholesaler's list, and then you track it long-term where you go, okay, this was on Keegley's list.
I love it.
Or Brent's list.
I tell people,
It's one of the smartest things ever to do to learn how to comp. Brent's got this on his list for 180 grand. I'm not going to buy it, but I'm going to track that address and see what happens to it over the next 3 months.
Yeah.
You're going to see what it gets listed for on retail. You're going to see why.
Who bought it?
You're going to see who bought it.
What they did to it.
If you literally just did that for 3 months, you would understand the wholesale business so incredibly well.
We love stocking properties. We stock properties like crazy. We see a property come in. Jeremy has now like an interactive map. And that's so that he can squeeze the most out of every single deal and make sure that we're working with the best people in that area that are going to close those deals, because we understand what they're buying. We understand what prices they're buying. We understand what their exit strategy is. It's really powerful to follow, pull that thread all the way through.
If somebody's in here is like, I've been trying to get my first deal for 2 years, I'm going to tell you, stop everything you're doing. It's not working because you're either bouncing around and avoiding the work, or you're not going deep enough on one thing. So here's one thing I would go deep on. Stock one zip code. Go on MLS, see what the houses are selling for, what they're trading on, just one zip code. Find one zip code in your area. Go on Privy or go on MLS if you're an agent, or go on Zillow for heaven's sakes, and track those properties. I'm doing this in Whitefish.
You can see what they bought it for too.
Yes. So I'm doing this in Whitefish, Montana, because I'm looking for a property up there.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how Zillow's like, here's the new red dots you haven't clicked on,
Mm-hmm.
and here's the red dots you've already clicked on.
Yep.
I've clicked on every single property in that valley.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it every morning for like 30, 40 minutes. And I'm like, is there a new red dot? Is there a new red dot? Is there a new red dot? And I go back to some of the other ones and it says, oh, price reduction. Oh, price this. Oh, this, that, and the, oh, it didn't sell for what we thought. Oh, dang.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a little spreadsheet of the ones that are in my list. And I'm like, let's see what actually happens with these properties.
Yep.
So stalk the properties, like Brent is saying,
Mm-hmm.
follow them for 3 or 4 months. What if after 3 months of being in wholesale, you go, I haven't got a deal, but I sure as hell know what happens. I know who the buyers are. I know who the sellers are. I know how the price changes. I know why they changed. And you actually understood one zip code, you would freaking dominate.
How about you go after and you talk to everybody in that zip code that has an ugly house? You could literally drive by it now. You could do it through Google Maps if you really want to. You could virtually drive for dollars, find every ugly house that needs renovation in a specific zip code. Then you could layer that on with pre-foreclosures. You could layer that on with liens. You could layer that on with whatever, probate, inherited, it doesn't matter. And now you're just focusing on that area. You're having conversations and you know who's going to buy.
Yeah.
You know who's going to buy in that area.
Gary Shevitz, one of the smartest men I've ever met in my life, he says, I love it. I'm a property stalker. I got my best flips that way. Now, I don't know. Gary is a licensed agent out of California.
Yep.
I don't know that he's wholesaling much. I know he flips a lot of big properties in
Awesome.
the Palm Springs area. So, guys, it works not only for raising. Here's the other thing it works for. You want to raise money? The greatest place to raise money besides joining a community of rich-ass people is going to public record and see who's lending money.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about anybody you've ever wholesaled a deal to. If you go to public record and you go, who is their hard money lender and who is their gap lender?
It's right there.
The gap lender is the person that has the private money.
Yeah.
Hard money lenders in first position, private money lenders in second position. It's public record. It's so easy. People are like, how do I raise money? Public record. Get on the phone, TTP, talk to people.
What would they search?
You could go to
what kind
county.
of deed would it be?
You go to
deed of trusts.
It's a deed of trust.
Yep.
It's a promissory note most of the time. Sometimes it's there's always a
Mortgage.
promissory note. Sometimes, if not always, there's a deed of trust attached to it as well.
Depends on what state you're in.
Okay. Somebody asked, what's the best dialer? Brent,
yeah.
which dialer do you like?
I like Mojo. I still like Mojo. Listen, it doesn't matter. It really.
I was going to say
it's like
your effing phone.
Yeah. I mean, they're all pretty much similar. I like Mojo just because the learning curve's the shortest. But just pick one and go. You could do call tools. You can do batch dialer. You could do any other dialer. You could do Vulcan 7. You could do all these other dialers that you want.
Vulcan 7?
Yeah.
Is that a new one?
No, they've been around for a while. They're just more real estate agent.
Okay.
Yeah, they do a good job with canceled and expired.
So I've got I own a call center, startvirtual.com, and I would say the number one dialer that our clients are using used to be Mojo. Yeah. And when I first started, Mojo was my thing, my dialer of choice.
What are you using?
Most everybody switched over to Call Tools. Yeah. And I think what happened with Mojo, Call Tools had more tools. It was a little bit more efficient. Yeah. Mojo then realized, oh my gosh, we fell behind, and they upgraded. And they're, now, in my opinion, they're just as good. Yeah. And that's the good thing about competition is it keeps people engaged on stuff.
As long as people are pressing go.
Yeah.
And talking to people, you win. I mean,
they all work, guys.
It'll work if you do.
I think that's it. I think that was a legitimate question in 2018 when the dialers were not like technologically advanced like they are today. They all are on the same playing field. It's kind of like, what's better, an Android or an iPhone? Well, we already know the answer to that.
Of course.
Okay, but what version of the iPhone's better? That's the better question. They all are basically the same. In the last 3 or 4 years, nothing's really changed. They all work. It's great. By the way, it is the answer is iPhone. Just FYI. Okay, so if you're not cold calling sellers, you could just dial from your phone.
Yes.
Okay, if you're dialing agents, I would call the agent. By the way, I'm so sorry, guys, that have Androids. I know that I become the spokesperson for iPhone. But if somebody calls me for a real estate deal or texts me and you got green bubbles, we ain't doing a deal. I'm just telling you, I'm not, am I out of line here? Let's be honest. I know people don't like when I talk about this, but it is true. If somebody texts me, I assume you're texting me from a CRM, not from an actual phone. So when people text me with green bubbles, I go, oh, I'm being marketed to. I immediately don't even look at it. If it's a blue bubble, I know it's a human being. So if you see, Mike Wilson says, very out of line. Tell me you're an Android user without telling me you're an Android user. Okay. It is true. The people that like Androids, you can never convince me of this one fact. Rich people have iPhones. And if I want to do business with rich people, I have an iPhone. If I can't text you while you're on your private plane because you got an Android, I got the wrong kind of phone. I'm sorry. I'm not on a private plane, but when I'm flying and I'm texting somebody who has an Android, I'm like, okay, I can't text. Hey, just so you know, I'm about to board my plane. We're not going to be able to text from my flight from here to Miami. That's a 4.5 hour flight. I'll text you when I get off the plane because your stupid iPhone or your stupid Android does not allow me to communicate with you while I'm in the air. Catch up, y'all. Okay. We ain't doing no green bubbles over here. In fact, when you text me a deal with green bubbles, I'm buying you an iPhone when our deal gets closed as a gift to you. Just FYI. But I am being crazy about it, but I also am being serious.
I get it.
If you're calling, here's what you should.
You've been chopping at this for years, bro.
I know. It's just like, guys, just switch over. Your phone, your pictures might be better. You might have a replaceable battery. What are the things they like?
SIM cards or something.
You like SIM cards that glow. Who knows what you guys like over there?
I think you can bend them in half, some of them.
Oh, amazing.
Some of them you could fold out and it's the size of this book or whatever.
The only thing I love.
Hello.
Okay.
I'm calling you from my Samsung.
What's so funny? Check this out. Somebody says, if you're so crazy about iPhones, why don't you do a giveaway? Guys, we gave away 20 iPhones on our freaking YouTube last year. Yes. We do it all the time. Okay. I would rather give a minivan to a single mother than have to go buy boneheads a bunch of freaking iPhones. Just go buy the iPhone. Here's what happens. I'm being dead serious about this. You call an agent on your phone. We're going back to the dialer. You call an agent on your phone. They don't answer. You immediately follow up with a text. If you're texting them with a green bubble, I am promising you this right now. This is not a lie. Anybody that's successful is going to look at your green bubble and not reply to you or immediately think, I know this sounds crazy. I'm so sorry, but we all think you're crazy when I get a green bubble from you. We do.
Yeah.
We're like, I immediately assume there's something wrong with your mindset that you don't want to communicate with me. So you chose a phone that does not allow voice memos and doesn't allow people to send you high quality photos and doesn't allow you to FaceTime people. Oh, Pace, there's a third party for that.
Is it just that like Androids are less expensive?
I don't know. No, there's some of them that are hella expensive.
I mean, do people that like, because I'm thinking about it now.
It's not a poor people thing. Some people are buying some hella expensive Androids.
Right.
Guys, you can't.
No, I mean, just public perception.
I don't know. No, what it is
like with an agent. Like an agent gets a green bubble. They're like,
when you text me,
is this a real cash buyer?
I always text back or do I voice memo you 90% of the time? I voice memo you. If I can't voice memo you, we can't have a conversation.
Got it.
And if I can't send you a photo or a PDF in a text thread, guys, it might even be an iPhone problem being a horrible company, alienating the Androiders from the rest of the world. But the best phone to call on is an iPhone because you're going to call, if you're doing direct to agent outreach, you're calling the agent and you're texting them immediately. The other thing you should be doing with agents when you're doing direct to agent outreach is actually sending them a voice memo so they can hear your voice and hear that you're a normal human being, or maybe even a video. Hey, Tom, just gave you a call. Want you to know I'm a real person. Can't wait to chat with you when you get this message. That is why I would use an iPhone. And I promise you, it would pay you 10 times more than using an Android. So there's the answer.
There you
Best
go.
dialer to use, an iPhone. Have I yelled loud enough?
I think they get it.
I have converted every one of my friends to the freaking iPhone. Even Steve Trang, an engineer, I converted him.
That was a tough one.
That was a tough one, but I got him. And when
But the group chats were hilarious.
the group, oh my gosh,
Were brutal.
somebody was like, we were on a group chat with 8 or 9 people, and somebody's like, "Happy birthday, Annie," and I'm like, "Does Steve still have an Android?" This literally went on for 4 years. Every time there was a thread, I was like, "Does Steve still have an Android?"
Yep.
Y'all are ruining our group chats. Okay. I'll tell you something else that you'll know. When you go speak on stage and you got all these speakers, we all get in group chats together to talk about, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's unfolding for the event. The only people that are not in that group chat are the speakers that have an Android. None of the speakers, this isn't just a wholesale thing. This is a regular business thing, just FYI. And yes, I have an affiliate code for Apple. So please use my sign-up code for discount at checkout.
Use the discount code PACE.
Discount code PACE. Wherever you go to Apple, Apple's gonna be like, what's all this? Somebody says, I have my Kindle Fire and my phone. Does anyone know what software I can use to edit contracts, or do I need to get a laptop? Hire a transaction coordinator to do all your paperwork. You should not be doing paperwork, just FYI. Why would you use Windows if you had an iPhone? So many benefits in linking Apple products. We do Windows. We have Windows. Do we not use Windows? Anyway, whatever. No. So the thing is, when you're doing
Microsoft thing,
the dialer is really only, I would not be using a dialer if I were you guys, if you were calling agents. Do you agree with that? If you're a solopreneur,
100%.
You're just starting out.
100% agree with that. Call them up. Leave. It's way more quality over quantity.
Why would I use a dialer then when calling a seller?
I think because it's just a pickup rate. Mm-hmm. When you're calling a commercial number, it's different, right? So agents' numbers are commercial numbers. Now, do they answer? Maybe not. But if you leave them a voicemail, typically they're going to respond because this is their job, right? And then when we're calling property owners, it's more of a private number.
Yes, and I think a lot of people, I remember a lot of people going, well, I have an iPhone, but I want to call from a Google number. Why are you calling from a Google number? Because you don't want people to have your number? Isn't the purpose of being in business to let people have your number?
Thousands.
That only benefits you in agent outreach or probate attorney outreach or financial advisor outreach. But when you're doing seller outreach, these are not relationships you're going to keep for the rest of your life. So it's better to just have a dialer, like Brent said, for the pickup rate. There you go. And Marcus says the same thing. Anonymity litigators, DNC registries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Interesting. Brent, even though you're not talking during the iPhone sales rant, your face is communicating a lot.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I'm going to ask the audience. If I send you a deal and it's a green bubble and you get another text message 3 seconds later, it's a blue bubble, which one are you focusing on? Blue bubble. Not even a question. Were you ever an Androider? I was. You were? I was. Where were you wrong? Tell me. Why was I wrong? Yeah, you obviously switched.
I don't know. We just started liking the features of our friends using them and everything.
There you go.
I was like, okay, let's try it out.
And by the way, I'm going to tell you why I like Apple more than anything else. Because they're genius marketers. And I want to learn from genius marketers. These guys are like, how do we make the green bubble people feel really bad about not having blue bubbles? Was the most genius thing ever. Do you know what the color blue is? Trust. The color blue makes you feel like you can trust somebody. So when you go to a job interview or when you go to raise money, what color are you wearing? Blue every time. So when they make their bubbles blue, trust. Interesting. Think about marketing. So smart. Pace, you're literally being biased off of people's personal opinions. Yes, you are correct. The people I make money with. That is exactly it. I do a lot of deals, and if I'm being if I text an agent with an Android, heaven forbid, they ain't gonna freaking pick up the phone. Okay. So there you go. Sorry. Great question. I'm in Texas. Let's get off the iPhone thing. Y'all know I'm right. Kiss my ass.
Green question.
Okay. I'm in Texas, where wholesale laws changed in 2024, which made me realize I don't know this. When buying wholesale, what's OOS? Out of state.
Okay.
I'm guessing is the acronym.
Yeah.
People know an acronym more than I do. Damn, that's good. Am I beholden to the laws in my state or the laws in the state I'm buying?
Well, the only change is you have to disclose that you're wholesaling. I mean, that's been in our contract. It's been in your contract forever.
Yeah.
It's in our contract forever. Jamil has literally posted the greatest disclosure statement of all time. It's on his Instagram right now. That there's no, you don't need a license to wholesale in Texas. People are freaked out about this. I don't understand why. If you read it, you'll understand that you just have to disclose that you're wholesaling. It's the exact same thing that happened in Arizona. Not a single deal have we lost. Have you lost any deals because you had to disclose that you could wholesale it?
No.
So,
I also started double closing a lot more, just FYI.
But the more, yeah, me too. But that's a different strategy, a different reason why. There's been too many desperate people going in and trying to sour the deals with the sellers. So we're just closing with Frank West.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yep. Double close, baby.
Yep. And then doing post possession. Yep.
Smart.
It's been working really well. Anyway, and riding it up because the market's going
so
bananas.
Lewis is saying that's what I heard. Texas is changing 2024 for wholesaling. Not sure if it's true, but they are pushing for everyone to become a realtor. Yes, they are to some degree, but you don't have to be. You just have to be smart. What they're doing is, guys, in Arizona, Texas, and like 15 other states, they are lobbying against wholesalers. And I'm going to tell them I actually agree with them. I'm sorry to say this. I actually agree. Because there are wholesalers out there that are not representing our industry properly.
They're lying.
They're lying. And what they're lying about is here's a couple of things they're doing. They're saying they're going to put in earnest money and they're not even opening escrow.
Yep.
Guys, that's illegal. You're messing up our industry. I hope that the National Association of Realtors spends another $100 million lobbying against wholesalers so our industry can actually be somewhat regulated. I don't mind telling a seller that I'm a wholesaler because I bring convenience, timing, et cetera, to the table. Okay. So all we're doing is telling the seller, hey, I intend to wholesale this property. 99% of the time, the seller has no care in the world what you're doing with the property. What they care about is, can you solve my problem and provide peace, comfort, convenience, and timing to me that fits my current situation? Nowhere have I. Now, here's the thing. Okay. This is the problem. If I go on a date with a dude, let's say I'm a woman. Okay. Because sometimes people are like, man, he's always making analogies with women. Let's make an analogy with a dude. Let's say you go on a date with me. Okay.
You're a woman?
LT, you're going on a date with me. Okay.
Wait, are you a woman still or no?
No, I'm changing it up.
Okay. You're a man.
LT, you're going on
Guys,
a date.
he's
you're
a
going on a date
man.
with me. Okay. We go on a date. What are some common things that maybe come up in the first date that you should know about me? Let's say we're both 40 years old. What's a question you would ask me?
Yeah, where do you work?
Okay, where do you work? Come on, give me more. Come on. Family life. I'm 40. Do you have kids maybe?
Have you been married?
Have you been married? Okay, great. So let's say that we don't have this conversation. And you say, or you say, hey, do you have kids? Tell me about, were you previously married? I go, yeah, I was married, but that's over. And I don't say, yeah, I'm married, have 2 kids. I just say, I'm married. I was married, right? 4 months later, you find out I got 6 kids. Is that a red flag? Okay, but was it a red flag if I told you in the first date? No. That is the problem with wholesalers, is that you're not telling the truth. And you should be just straight up saying, hey, I might wholesale this, I might not, but I think I intend on wholesaling. Here's what it says in my contract, blah, 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 blah. They don't care. They don't freaking care. You need to be trained properly. Your scripts need to be done properly. That's it. But when you bring it up at close of escrow that you're freaking wholesaling, do you want to hear a horror story?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what's happening, and I love it. This is what's happening in Arizona. There's a new law firm out. Okay. Genius. I love a good marketer, and I love somebody who comes up with good shit. This is a good product. I love this product. His product is going back to homeowners who sold to a fix and flipper and their house sold on the retail market.
Yeah.
And calling the fix and flip or calling the homeowner and go, who did you sell the house to the person who ended up selling it on the market?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't. Who did you sell it to? And they go, oh, well, here's the contract. Ends up being a wholesaler.
Yeah.
Now this legislation's been out. It's a state law
that you have to disclose.
They're now going to the title companies for title insurance, and they're suing the fix and flipper, the wholesaler, and they're getting the seller a settlement. Genius. I'm all about that. Does it suck? Do I hate attorneys? No. I love anybody that's creative about how to make money. I freaking love that idea. So this is what happens. Sean St. Clair calls me up and he goes, you wouldn't believe this. I had a guy that went to one of our workshops. He got the contract that I've crafted, and he decided to go the other route and use a one-page stupid contract he downloaded from somebody's website, some idiot. It wasn't even an Arizona state contract, right? It should just be the same contract, all 50 states, just FYI. Wholesaler sells a deal, doesn't disclose. Fix and flipper goes and makes $100,000 on this deal, juicy deal. Sells it to a retail buyer. Retail buyer buys the house. Attorney, that's all they're doing now. They're tracking the flips. They're tracking permits. They're tracking these things, and they're going back to the original homeowners. The homeowner gets a call. Hey, I'm so-and-so, a law firm. Found out that you might have been scammed. You sold your house to somebody who ended up not even buying it, and they sold it to somebody else, and they broke the law. And I can get you a settlement. Are you interested in a conversation? So they go to the title company. The title companies are like, well, we want to really protect our wholesalers who bring us files. Well, that's the problem. The title companies know the law, and they weren't upholding the law. And now this law firm is going to basically force these people to lose millions of dollars. So the settlement that they reached is $400,000. The fix and flipper only made $100,000. The settlement's $400,000. And the title company and the fix and flipper are having to pay for it. Why is the fix and flipper having to pay for it? Because the fix and flipper bought the property, even though he assigned the contract to the fix and flipper. So the contract was assigned to the fix and flipper, and the contract doesn't state in there that it was wholesaled. It's state legislation, whether you know it or not. Just because you don't know that a red light means stop doesn't mean that you can go through red lights and go, sir, I didn't know the law. Okay. There's one little simple thing. All you have to do is go, hey, if we can strike a price today, I don't know what we're going to do with the property yet, but I might end up doing this. I might end up doing that. I might even end up finding another investor buddy of mine that might take my place. Are you okay with that?
Yep. It's in the agreement.
Right.
It's in the agreement. We have the same. Sean put together an agreement for us.
Gangster.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's just it's like 2 sentences.
Disclose.
Okay. There you go. Double close is another approach. Yes. Double close is another approach. I think what's going to happen in the industry of the wholesale industry is I think there's going to be 2 parties of people that get really good at scripts and know how to just be upfront and honest, and other people that are going to be forced to double close.
Yeah.
That's it. And that won't be for a number of years, but you should just be upfront and honest and say the right things. Don't you want to sleep better at night anyway?
Yep.
It's enough out here for everyone. Yes, 100%. There's a lot of money to be made out here. Yeah. I'm looking to get into...
But we're truth tellers, truth seekers. You can't go in and hoodwink somebody in to signing a contract with you, and they're under the false pretenses. It's gross. You can't build a long-lasting business that way.
Yeah.
We see it all the time. I've seen it for 20 years, Pace, right? People coming in, they make a ton, and they're doing it wrong, and then they're gone.
Yep. We see...
They're gone.
Oh, you want to hear something dope? That I'm finally working on the coolest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
I think. We are finally coming out with a website that will verify you as a buy and holder, a bona fide buyer, a bona fide borrower. We're going to call it the borrower passport. Okay. So if I'm a private money lender and I'm like, well, I want to lend money to Pace on a fix and flip, I want them to be able to verify that I've actually done successful projects. And so we're doing a passport. And also, we are going to have on the same website a blacklist for people that do wholesaling and real estate investing wrong. If you screw over a private money lender in this industry, starting January 1st of 2024, there will be a place that you can go and say, this guy took 10 grand from me. And now going forward, the industry will know who these people are. These people will have the opportunity to get the 10 grand paid back, and it will be removed from, there you go. The website's for everybody, y'all. It's for the industry. Okay. You know how many people are in our industry in Arizona? Arizona basically invented wholesale, y'all. Okay. Everybody learns from the Arizona peeps. Okay. We're the leading industry, leading city for this wholesale industry. And we have so many bad, shady actors that come into Arizona for like 6 months to 9 months, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
Some of them go to prison even. It's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But legislation is being unleashed because of these knuckleheads. And so we want, I'm actually going to be talking about this. You're in a group text with me, you, and we're going to be talking about this on
The Attorney General.
The Attorney General of California and the Attorney General of Utah are going to be coming in talking about all the scams that are going on in real estate. Yeah. They're going to be talking about how people are posing as title companies when they're not, telling you to wire money to fake people.
That's big time.
It's huge. They're going to be talking about how people are pretending to be hard money lenders. They say, wire us $10,000 and then we'll fund your transaction. And it's just a fake website that was built for like 30 days and it gets taken down. Mm-hmm. All sorts of things that are going on inside of our industry right now. And the Attorney General of California and the Attorney General of California and the Attorney General of freaking Utah are going to come in and both have a 45-minute conversation about scams that they are seeing commonly. And then we're going to talk about this verification process that you can get. I also am like, think about this. I've said to people online a lot, Pace owns 2,000 doors. Mm-hmm. How do you know that's true?
Right.
You don't until now. Where there's a verification process that checks when you have an educator online that says, I own 100 rentals or I own 200 rentals, we're going to ask them to verify themselves. And I'm going to verify myself first. And I'm going to say, I own this, I own these businesses. This is the revenue I generate. Here's my, I won't have to show settlement statements and HUDs. I just show ownership of those assets through my LLCs. It's very easy. And you guys can go on a website and go, all right, do I want to learn from this guy or is he lying on YouTube? Right? These things are important things. Okay. Same thing with wholesale. If Brent says I did an $87,000 wholesale deal, he could ask this website to verify that that's a true thing instead of him, whatever. Okay. Mm-hmm. Anyway, whatever.
Love it. Well, transparency. Listen, the people that are really doing this business, you know what I mean, have nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide. In fact, we want everybody to be open, and I'll talk about my failures. I'll talk about the houses we lose money on and all that kind of stuff. Okay. A couple people asked, Mike Jones actually asked this. So let's answer this real quick. He says,
Mike Jones,
I'm looking to get into wholesale and subto. Do you have in-person classes? I want to learn the right way from the start. Learning from gaining passive income with subto. Okay, cool.
You do something every 90 days, right?
Nope. I only do stuff for my community.
Well, that's what I mean. Don't you have your like master class or?
I do like golden ticket events. I hang out with my community all the time.
Yeah.
They do their own meetups. They're teaching their local geography. They're being industry leaders in this regard. I don't do classes.
Where do you live, Mike?
Probably. Where does Mike Jones live? People. Mike Jones.
Mike Jones.
That's the most white person way to say that, but I like it. I actually think Mike Jones is white. I think. But Mike Jones, the Elephant Challenge is a great place to start. We do a challenge every single month. I'm doing one in 2 weeks.
I think you're thinking Bubba Sparks.
Am I?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I've been corrected. So in-person classes, booty,
rugged everywhere.
I've done a lot of in-person classes, but I only do them for my community. They're very private. They don't cost any money. I've done a lot of realtor classes. What I would do is, here's the problem with a seminar. Okay. If you're like, I want to learn one thing,
Yeah.
a 3-day seminar is probably not the thing for you, because what typically happens is we all, when we run events, Brent runs events, you end up having a variety of different people.
It's a buffet.
It's a buffet, right? But when you go to a seminar and you're like, I want an in-person class, the best thing to do is find people in TTP or Subto or Astro and go, can I come work for your team for a couple of days? Can I do things for you? Can I call for you? Can I do something? Or can I come to one of your meetups? My community does on average about 60 meetups a month across the country. And so I would try and log into that. There you go.
Yeah, Mike, let us know where you live. I'm sure we've got somebody great local if you want to, get that more in person. But we have a ton of stuff that you can learn from. Really, don't overthink it, Mike. Ugly house. Go talk to them. Have a conversation with them. And then when you do, then you learn, okay, wait, are they looking for a cash as is offer? Or are they looking for something else?
Yeah.
Right? Is this better that I just refer this over to a real estate agent because they want retail value and there's not a lot of distress there? Or is this something that we can get creative with? And then you go and you squat up with somebody that's in Subto, somebody that's in the Rhino Tribe, TTP, and then you go through your first deal and boom.
Yeah, Elena.
Squad up, bro.
Elena, you've got how many doors now? You have 24 doors. Have you ever called a seller?
Is it?
You've never called a seller. Okay. You've never had to negotiate. Did you even have to fill out the paperwork, or did you hire a TC? Okay. So Elena Tang, okay, one of our leaders in our community, Subto, she has always just bought a deal from another Subto student.
Love it. Okay.
And that's the beautiful thing about being in a community. Carolyn, I buy deals from. Have you ever bought a deal from Carolyn? What the hell? Yeah. Now, Carolyn, you guys have a total ownership of probably somewhere like 75 plus. You just closed a big fund deal the other day. So you're a part owner of probably close to 500 units. And you did that by, are most of those deals coming from the community? Okay, cool. So join a community, bro. I'm telling you, the deals are in the community. Rod asked a question. Pace, if a seller does not have a mortgage and completely owns the property, can I still do Subto? No, you can't. You have to do what's called seller finance. So go on my YouTube channel, type in Subto versus seller finance, and it'll explain the difference between those two. If they don't own a debt, okay? If they don't own a debt, ooh, this is good. David Longoria, has any of your assigned Subto buyers defaulted? What consequences are there for you if assigned it and were out of the deal? Ooh, I teach my students how to do what I call the after party, or Subto 2.0. I'm still kind of wondering which one I should call it. Subto, or I've actually called it Sub 3. Okay, maybe I'll call it Sub 3. This is Sub 3. So check this out. So I buy a property subject to, and I assign it to a buyer.
You better buy that website.
I know.
Somebody's on GoDaddy right now.
Elena, don't be trying to arbitrage shit over to me. Okay, so I call it. I've called it all sorts of different things, but yes, this has happened. It happens probably once or twice a year. Here's what you have to do. You have to understand, and this is why I don't teach about this on YouTube. There's a lot of things I don't teach about YouTube. This is one of the things I don't teach on YouTube. How do you structure a Subto deal that when I assign it, I have the right of first refusal if that buyer defaults? What does that paper look like? That's called Sub 3, baby.
.com.
I just bought it. Don't worry. So that's called Sub 3. You get it back. You just have to know how to structure the paperwork properly and set it up. I hope those guys default. Set everything up in a way that you hope somebody defaults. Ask that question. There you go. Pace, does Subto affect a seller's debt to income ratio if they want to buy a new property? Tell me you're not one of my students by telling me you're something else, right? Tell me you're not a Subto student without telling me you're not a Subto student. We have done 7 trainings on this. This is one thing that I do not teach about on YouTube at any real depth, but the answer is it does not affect their debt to income ratio if you know what you're doing. In fact, did any one of you 3 watch the Zoom that we did the other day with Brian? Elena watched a little bit. She was like, Qui modi mancam. A small rats tell him out. So she watched a little bit, but yeah, we teach. Angie watched it, Everybody that's a sub-2 student that watched that training the other day, tell me you guys watched it. Sam Crawford says, brand new here. Thank you. All you need to know, Sam, is that if you know how to structure the paperwork properly, okay, it does not affect their DTI. You can actually, you know what I learned? I told you this the other day, Carolyn, in person in the truck. I learned the other day for the first time how to overcome 100% of their DTI on day 1, not on day 365. Go watch the Zoom, Elena. It's in the Zoom vault. Go watch it. Okay. There we go. This one's a good one. Yeah, Zach Pate says, yes, that was so good. Zach Pate did a 12-plex Morby method and got paid to buy that. That was really, really good. David Longoria says, Pace, when are you going to buy a deal off of me? When you send me an email, pacejmorby@me.com. Okay, when is the next meetup in Phoenix area? Sub2 community does one every Saturday, just FYI, every single Saturday. Maj says, TC or real estate attorney. Very different roles and responsibilities. First and foremost, Maj Mahal. A transaction coordinator does so much more than what a closing attorney does. A closing attorney is what you're talking about. Closing attorney plays the role of an escrow officer in states like Atlanta, or I'm sorry, Georgia, and New York, Utah, sometimes Texas. Texas is an interesting place because you can use an escrow officer or a closing attorney. You can use one or the other. Arizona, if somebody's like, let's open escrow with my closing attorney, what would you say to that?
What?
Huh?
What?
This is in Arizona. What are you talking about? However, just so you know, I do close my FHA subject to deals through Sean St. Clair, so I don't have to go through an escrow officer. But transaction coordinator, I would never not do a deal without a transaction coordinator ever again. When I realized the power of leveraging somebody else's superpower so I can go find a second deal, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey,
lead generation, not lead servicing.
Oh my
gosh. You know what I mean?
Have you ever been sued for wholesale?
No.
Lenny says, if you wholesale, what's the main thing to prevent from being sued?
Don't lie. That's number one, Lenny.
To be honest with you guys, I've lied a lot in wholesale. Like I have. I just straight up have. I've gotten better. I'm just telling you, I'm being honest with you. I've gotten a lot better. But when I was doing wholesale full time and I didn't learn the things the right way, okay, this was probably 7 years ago, like 2 years before I really met Brent. I was just a HomeVestor franchise, and there were things I didn't realize I was lying about, but I was lying about them. Even then, I didn't get sued.
Any lessons there?
Yeah, I would say disclose to your seller that you are doing what you're doing with the property. I would also say that this is a big one. Open escrow and put earnest money in.
Yes.
Don't be an idiot.
Yes.
So many wholesalers out there. There's a lot of guys that teach this on internet. They're like, you don't need to cover your earnest money. Your buyer will cover your earnest money. Your buyer will cover your earnest money if your buyer was already lined up.
You don't have a valid contract in most states.
There
you
you
need
go.
Consideration. If you don't have consideration, it's an invalid contract.
There you go. And this is why real estate agents hate us, hate wholesalers, is because y'all go get contracts with real estate agents and the agent asks for 1% earnest money and y'all go and avoid opening escrow. I was also guilty of this. This is part of the thing I was doing wrong. And I go, I'll open escrow when I find my buyer. That's what I was doing wrong.
Right.
That's not the way that this business is supposed to be done. Just FYI. Great question, Lenny. Really,
but also,
great question.
Lenny, just bring the agreement to a attorney and get it approved. Get it approved. And if they tell you to put whatever disclosures, they tell you to use the realtor contract, put extra disclosures, whatever they tell you, just do that. Do that. And then, if it's a question that comes up during your offer presentation, answer it. And if they have a problem with it, then don't do business with them.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other deals. There's plenty of other opportunities.
Mike Jones says, when doing driving for deals, I thought about using ballpoint and call porter.
Done it.
Do you think that's a good idea? It depends. Do you have money? Or are you just, I can tell you, when I decided, actually, this is about in my TTP days, probably about 5 years ago. Meaning when I joined Brent's tribe, the TTP tribe,
Mm-hmm.
I would go out and I would drive for deals because I was like, I was doing 10 deals a month or so on my own, just doing direct. I was basically using HomeVestors for 2.5, 3 years to bring all my leads to me. And I went to Brent to be like, teach me how to do leads outside of HomeVestors.
Yeah.
And so driving for deals was one of those things. And I had the Deal Machine app and I was going through the Deal Machine app and I found myself clicking on the postcard thing all the time. Like send this guy a postcard, send this guy a postcard, send this guy a postcard. Then at the end of the day, I'm like, damn, I spent like $75 on postcards, but I didn't do shit today.
Mm-mm.
And then the next day I was with Eric Nix. I don't know if you know Eric Nix. Awesome guy, sleeper wholesaler, doesn't come out of his cave. Him and I were driving for deals and I go, hey, how about this? Let's see what happens when we actually just knock on the door.
Yeah.
I mean, I knocked doors for 2 years in Korea as a missionary.
Yeah.
Like, why am I sitting here spending $75? I basically was like, I used this word and then Cody Sanchez robbed it from me and I appreciate it. The word is mental masturbation. I was convincing myself that I was working when I really wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I find a lot of times people that send direct mail out feel like it's making them feel like they're working, but they really are not. Just pick up the phone and call the seller.
Yeah.
Get out of your car and go knock on the door. Okay. Go after foreclosures. I just bought a deal from Caroline Kane. She was a TTP student. She came to me, worked on my team. She's now running her own team. And I just bought a deal from her yesterday or 2 days ago as a foreclosure. She's just like on her spare time with her girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just go knock doors on foreclosures. That's what she does for fun.
Yeah.
So I would say don't spend any money on ballpoint or call porter until you've at least talked to 100 sellers and you know what the business looks like. Don't waste the money. Don't spend the money. Do you disagree with me or do you think he should spend money right away?
Listen, in small markets, it works really well. If you're in a market that's like less than, I'd say 100,000, sending out mail is pretty effective. You got to continuously do it. And, but if you're in a major market, I mean, I was sending out mail like crazy. It was upwards to $20,000 in direct mail for one deal. All right. So if you're in a smaller market, Mike, and call them.
Yes.
And knock on the door.
Yes.
And try to get a hold of them some other way.
That's really good.
But answer those calls unless your schedule is totally congested and you have no time and you really can't answer those calls. Then you could go the call porter route. But I think there's a minimum that they charge you.
I never went the call porter route. I think I tried it, and as I was signing up for it, I go, "Is this me being lazy?
Yeah,
or is this me being efficient?"
That's what it was.
Came to the conclusion I was being lazy.
They're great guys. I mean, the guys that own the company, the Dossies, are fantastic guys.
But here's the next question for you, Jonathan Muir Woods of California. By the way, you ever been to the Muir Woods? Holy shit!
Sounds like something from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, it feels
the Muir Woods.
It actually does feel like Lord of the Rings when you go there. Is it ever a good idea to door knock a seller represented by an agent, Brent?
Well, they've got a contract with them, so it just depends. But most of the time, they have an exclusive right to sell with that agent, so everything has to go through that agent anyway. So typically,
my question is, why would you even be knocking a door with the seller that's listed?
Because you
think there is a situation.
Right.
Here's the situation. This happens a lot in the creative finance world. Property's been listed 140 days.
Yep.
You're calling the seller. You know, because you pulled it on PropStream, that they have no equity because they bought it VA last year or they bought it FHA last year. You know there's no equity. The only way for them to sell is creative finance. You know it. The agent won't represent your offer. They won't submit your offer. Yep. So you go to the seller directly. But a better way to do that is just wait for the listing to expire.
There's flat fee listing services too.
Yeah.
That it is the owner that's essentially listing it. So that'd be fine.
I think it's a very rare thing. Just FYI, Mr. Muirwood. Luis Gonzaga. PACE or TTP. Does your assignment contract include something stating where it discloses the seller agrees with the price and if fix or flip or wholesaling does not come back to you? Yes. There's a whole section in our contract that says the seller knows that we intend to make money on the property and we will make a profit. Our intention is to make a profit. The other thing is when you close escrow and ownership conveys, the contract that you use is very important, that it was an as-is sale.
Mm-hmm.
The seller, I've never seen somebody go back to a seller unless it's a bitter fix and flipper that's like, this seller knew that there was a blah. It's so rare. It's so rare. I've heard it, but it's very rare.
Luis, the assignment contract is between you and the buyer, not you and the seller. The purchase agreement is between you and the seller, and that's where it's disclosed.
Okay.
So a little bit different there.
Is it out of pocket if you ask the agent to get a rejection letter of offer? Meaning you submit an offer and you go, and the agent goes, sorry, they've rejected.
They don't have to.
Yeah, they don't have to.
I mean, I would check with your state laws, but most of the time they don't have to respond if they don't want to.
Okay,
in writing.
There we go. So agent won't listen. Jonathan Muir, I was right about this.
Yeah.
The agent won't listen. Why door knock? Why not just call the seller? And
as long as you're not licensed.
Yeah, I'm not licensed. This is one of the top reasons I wouldn't ever be licensed.
Code of ethics will stop you.
Yeah.
It'd be a big issue.
Pace, how do you feel about funding wholesalers' positions, or how do you feel about funding wholesalers bidding on foreclosures? You'll be secured by a first position, and they should have an exit strategy ready for the property. I just think that there's so many other ways to make money. Like, why am I going and finding this as a unique opportunity? I don't know.
Plus, this is just a hard money lender.
You're basically being a hard money lender, and there's plenty of them. So, like, especially in Arizona, let me tell you straight up, you ain't getting anything on the auction block that these other auctioneers are not getting. I got a buddy, Spencer Caldwell, so Brent Daniels is buddies with him too.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to buy a property on auction, I'm going to Spencer Caldwell because these guys
100%.
monopolize the auction.
Yeah.
Some like 21-year-old wholesaler is not going to go on the auction steps and beat out one of these guys. It's like, do you have gray hair coming out of your ear holes? Then you're probably going to lose. Okay. Do you have leather patches on your elbow, on your jackets? You're probably going to lose. Okay. These guys have leather bound books in their library. They know how to do things.
They do.
Okay. Smells like mahogany. There you go. All right. One last question. We're 2 minutes late, but
guys, 650 people on Labor Day. Thank you.
Oh,
it's an absolute honor. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this kicks off your week really strong, and you guys go out there and take some massive imperfect action, because that's all this is about. Go and screw it up, but just make sure that you have an attorney that's reviewing your paperwork. You can screw up conversations. You can screw up the process. You could pick the wrong title company the first time. You could take the wrong advice the first time, but just keep going and you will absolutely win. Do not let fear stop you. Okay? There's too many people with unbelievable go-giving hearts in this chat right here that will guide you. They will shepherd you through your first few deals so that you feel confident moving forward, so that you can bring those checks home and you can say, look at this hobby that I'm doing here.
Yep.
I might just do this full time. How about that? Boom.
Boom.
Now you're going. And then you're collecting all the different merit badges.
KJ says, does a new wholesaler need capital now? If so, for what? Okay, let's see. Let's say if I'm just going on YouTube, it's going to take me a little bit longer. I'm going to have less help. I'm going to have to figure out I'm going to use a free downloaded contract. Can I make money in wholesale without $1? No. You're going to have to put gas in your car. And you might want to go to Circle K and get one of them rolling egg rolls. You know what I'm saying? Them shits are bomb. Okay.
Cell phone bill.
So outside of like the bare necessities of like car insurance and stuff like that, the answer is no. You can legitimately, in fact, my best deals I've done in wholesale were deals I didn't spend a single penny on, even in advertising, door knocking, or referrals from probate attorneys. Those were like the best deals. I'm just like, how did I just make 50 G's with nothing? Because in my first 3 years in business, before I met Brent, I was spending $20,000 a month on advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met Brent, and then around that same time, I started doing a lot of probate attorney outreach. I met Rylis Dana at that same time, and I started doing like 3-4 deals a month from probate attorneys. And I'm like, how am I making like $100,000 a month from probate attorney referrals when I couldn't even make $100,000 by spending 20 grand. You'll find a lot of times the free methods are actually better than anything else. Picking up the effing phone, talking to people, actually doing the work is the best strategy of all time. What's the answer to the best dialer? We've already obtained that information. It's called an iPhone. Okay, go get one. They got a new one coming out September 15th, straight up. Use my code PACE at checkout. Now, another last question. Somebody said, PACE, I'm a new student. How do I do a deal with you? How do I submit a deal? Every Friday, I do a deal. I do a Zoom called Deal or No Deal, where I partner with you. And in the last 30 days, I've bought 20 deals from students where I come in and cover the money of the deal and keep you on as a partner 50-50. Okay. So if you are like, I want to own property and you don't want to use any money, I will bring the money to the table. I will pay for the transaction coordination. We'll even manage the asset. I want you to be my 50-50 partner on assets that you're doing and bringing to me if you want. If you want to just do what Carolyn and Myron do, where they assign stuff to me, then you can do that too. Okay. What email do they go to? deals@pacemorby.com. deals@pacemorby.com. Mark Sanchez, you paid $2 for this. First home using subto with hybrid advice. Go to YouTube and type in Pace Morby Jerry Norton personal home on YouTube. There's a whole hour of how I bought my own personal home, subto with hybrid. Okay, there you go.
KJ, real quick, make sure that you understand transactional funding. Okay, transactional funding, this whole industry is made for you to win. Transactional funding will give you 100% of the purchase price if you find an actual deal, because they're an asset-based lender. So this is really important to understand, because if you don't have the ability to purchase, then that could be fraud. I mean, technically it is fraud if you're just going out there as a buyer and you don't have the ability to close. All of that goes away with transactional funding. So it's all set up for all of us. We are all cash buyers. So when you say I don't have any capital, that is bullshit. You have tens of millions of dollars sitting there waiting for you. There is more capital than there are deals. Okay? So just be confident going out there being a cash buyer, because you know that you have transactional funding in your pocket. Second thing, you have a merch store. You got to have some sort of link to like an iPhone distributor or something.
I'm going to get that.
You have to.
This is going to happen.
You have to.
Kelly says, Pace, does the agent get paid out of the down payment to the seller on sub-2 seller finance deals? Yes. Typically 95% of the time. I've got two RV parks I'm buying right now for $7 million in Montana. The seller is receiving $350,000 down payment on that $7 million deal. So what is that number? 5% down, very low down payment, but that's still a significant amount of money. So the seller is paying his agent on his side, and I have no agent on my side because I'm smart. Sorry, agents, you suck. And
if you can't do transactional funding, you got to get a partner, because people there are, I get it. Some people, there is religious restrictions.
Guys, I had this conversation with somebody with the religious stuff. I'm going to tell you something very interesting. Your religion is very interesting. You got to do some research on this. I've actually done the research. I actually paid somebody to talk to me about this. The law about your interest was written over 4,000 years ago. And then your religion, I'm not going to say what religion it is, your religion then went and made a bank to bypass interest. We go, okay, well, since we don't believe in interest because it's basically slavery.
Interesting thought.
Okay, it is an interesting thought. We're going to create a bank that doesn't have interest involved.
Yeah.
So you know what they're doing? Nobody in the religion has stopped and thought about this. I'm sorry. Okay. Even my religion, I have criticized and opened. I'm an adult. I'm going to look at my religion openly. When they tell me I can't have caffeine, I'm like, wait, what? Chocolate has caffeine in it. You're telling me I can't have chocolate? Wait, what? That's crazy. I'm going to eat some chocolate. You're stupid. Sometimes you just got to say your religion is crazy. Okay. And I'm not saying whether yours is or not, but you got to do some research. You know what your bank does? You guys, this is what they do. If you want to get a loan from this bank, from their religion, $200,000? They go, no problem. When you pay us back, you just got to pay us back $300,000. But it's not interest. It's a lump sum.
Well, that's
interesting.
A workaround. Yeah.
Guys, that is one of the craziest rules I've heard. I'm obviously not from that religion. That religion is amazing, but that is one you need to do the research on because your religion is charging you interest. They're just calling it something else. Okay. So do the homework on it, or maybe get a different partner that comes in and says, well, don't charge me interest because my religion doesn't want me to choose interest. Or pay interest. So I'm going to skirt the law. Why not just not be in business? Because essentially, I'm sorry, this is a religious thing. I'll avoid getting into religious stuff, but here's what you're essentially doing. You're saying, they told me not to do interest, so I will then pay them the same amount of money, but I'll call it something different so that I can avoid the law. Even if you do transactional lending and somebody charges you a lump sum, guys, it's the same thing. Do the work, okay? Do the homework. Do the work, and you'll figure it out. There's a loophole, but this is the thing. You're working out a loophole against God. Oh my gosh, I can't even. This is a whole YouTube video. I'm gonna make this YouTube video next week. I'm gonna do the research. I'll bring on the people. It'll be really good. It's semantics. There you go, Vanessa Shaw. You got it. It's semantics. I actually just learned what kosher was. I was so amazed by what kosher was too. What do we think kosher is? Does anybody know what kosher is? Blessed by a priest is what everybody believes.
Well, it's the lack of blood.
There's so many interesting things. I believe in this. There's some cool things about it. Why are we talking about this on Wholesale Hotline? Guys, this is an amazing episode.
We love you guys. Check out
guys.
The podcast. We come out with new episodes every single day where we talk about real estate. Mostly real estate. We love you.
Later.
Have a great week.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say